Hello, welcome to Wide Left Sports. Today I'm joined by Bozeman Gallatin volleyball coach Erika Gustavson. Erika, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Mitch.
Of course. So, my first question, I guess, for you is what kind of gave you the coaching bug? You've been doing it for a long time. So, what gave you that bug?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in year 20, maybe, give or take a few years. And I think it just stems back. I grew up playing sports. I had really great coaches growing up and had a really great experience, kind of through my childhood. Um, and ended up deciding not to play in college and kind of just go to school. And then about year two of college, I got into coaching and I've been in ever since. So I feel like fewer and fewer people are getting into coaching nowadays. Where I don't know, I got in early and really found a passion for it, and that's only grown, kind of over my career, coaching volleyball and basketball at different schools and different places. And yeah, so I definitely think it's something I'm still really passionate about. It's way too much time if you're not passionate about it. Let's be honest about that. Yeah, but I completely agree that I would say if there's one thing I'm super passionate about, it's definitely coaching, and that's what's kept me in it this long.
I love that. So, you touched on it for a split second there that you switched sports there about halfway through.
Yeah, I've done both for, I mean, ever. I mean, honestly, I originally started um, coaching basketball with Amy Fifley at Billings Senior. Um, when she was the head coach there. And that led me kind of then eventually ended up at Skyview for a year and started coaching. I coached middle school volleyball and basketball along the way. Um, so I'd always kind of done both, to be honest with you. I grew up playing both, and when you're young and crazy and don't have any kids, then that's what you do. You just coach both. And so then when I made the move to Bozeman in 2011, I was really lucky to get on at Bozeman High, coaching freshman B volleyball and freshman B basketball. So Katie Lazlovich was the head coach for volleyball then, and Brad Rustin was the head basketball coach. Um, and then kind of within those programs, I just kind of worked my way up and then eventually took over both programs. And so for 3 seasons, I was the head coach of both. Which looking back now was a little crazy. But also a really good ride. And it was really amazing because a lot of the girls played both sports. So that was a really special relationship. I'm so close with a lot of those girls to be able to coach them in both sports for multiple years is a really cool thing. And then once I had my son in 2018, and kind of before that, my doctor was kind of like, you might need to slow down a little bit. So I went down to just basketball, had my son, and then I finished out in 2020 when Gallatin opened. I knew I was going to come over here and teach. Um, it was such a cool opportunity that you don't usually get to open a brand new AA high school. And so that year that Gallatin opened, I was pregnant with my daughter. I was teaching at both schools, but I had a group of 8 seniors that was at Bozeman High for basketball that I wanted to, see through their career.
Yeah.
Really good group, like Addie Ekstrom, who played at Carroll, Macy Mayer, who went on to play at Tech. That whole crew, I'd had them almost all 4 years at the JV varsity level. So I was teaching at both schools and finished coaching basketball at Bozeman High. That was COVID when it was just, we almost didn't have a state tournament. I was wiping down the balls and temp checking. And like I said, I'm pregnant with my daughter, so I didn't really know what life was going to be like with a toddler and a baby. Um, and I knew I had kind of missed out on becoming a head coach over here at Gallatin, at that point. I mean, everybody had been hired. So I kind of thought at that point, like, I'm going to just step away, kind of you know,
Yeah.
retire a little bit, I guess, at that point. And so then I was over here that next year, 21, 22, for that full year and didn't coach. And really, really missed it. I mean, I love teaching. I'm a high school PE teacher and I love what I do, but it's just a different relationship with kids. And so then the volleyball job came open here. And I went home to talk to my husband and I was like, hey. And he just kind of looked at me and he was like, you're going to apply, aren't you? And I said, yeah, I think so. You know what I mean? And It also was really exciting to start something new at a new school and, build a program. I mean, I was very lucky at Bozeman High to come into very established programs. Um, that had a really long history of being successful. And so starting something new was really kind of exciting and a new kind of challenge. And yeah, so then I kind of just went in and with two small kids, the fall season's a little bit better for the family, no holidays and no
Yeah.
super late travel with bus trips and things like that. Um, so it's been a good switch. I mean, I definitely still miss basketball and I, work almost every game and, I'm at every state tournament still and stuff. And so, but finding that balance for my family of both, you know what I mean? Which one was going to be the best? Definitely ended up being volleyball right now for sure. But yeah, I look back on those times and it was year round. I mean, we would finish volleyball state on Saturday. I would have our volleyball banquet on Tuesday, and then we would start basketball tryouts on Thursday. And then,
Jeez.
like in the spring, it would be 2 days of open gyms for volleyball, 2 days for basketball. I mean, it was crazy. Like I said, now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh. But really, really great experience that, a lot of people aren't able to do. I mean, to be able to be a head coach of one sport alone, you know what I mean? Let alone two sports. Yeah, it was definitely a crazy experience, but I think definitely really kind of took my career off and running from that point.
That's so awesome. So you gave me like 5 or 6 questions in that answer. So
Mhm.
bear with me here for a second, but
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
no, you're good. I love it. So one of my questions was, you mentioned that you have obviously coached different levels. You coached freshman for a bit. Now you're coaching the varsity.
hmm
So one, how cool is it to see players go from level to level? But two,
hmm
how different is the coaching from that freshman team to the varsity level?
It's super different. And I feel like I always kind of get that a little bit back to reality, like when we put on camps and things like that, and we're working with the young girls. And like I said, and I did middle school for a couple years. Um, but I also feel like that made me ready to be a head coach because I had 8 years of being an assistant experience. Um, to really start kind of honing in and focusing on the fundamentals and kind of things like that, I think to really help prepare me. I was able to work with so many amazing coaches, I feel like, and that I've kind of reflected on, like I take something away from each of them. I mean, I was able to work with really, really veteran coaches early on in my career, that definitely I think made me the coach that I am today. Um, so I think that really helped give me the confidence, kind of, coaching middle school, coaching freshmen, making my way up to JV, and then feeling ready to take over. And I think that's the hard part nowadays is a lot of people aren't getting into coaching and a lot of people aren't really putting in the time of being an assistant coach.
Right.
A lot of these people are getting head jobs at, like 24 and they haven't even been kind of an assistant. And it makes it a lot more challenging for them. I just don't think they're as set up for success as kind of the past. Like I would have never dreamed, like when I got my first head coaching job at 28, I thought like, wait a minute, like I'm so young, comparatively, because there was just so many long-term coaches back
Right.
then that were doing it. And I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore. So I feel really fortunate that I think it prepared me as I continued to kind of move up levels and gain confidence and kind of hone in on who I wanted to be as a coach, to really prepare me. And I think honestly, coaching both sports, because they're so different, also made me better overall, at both of them, just because like volleyball, I focus a lot on the mental game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I was able to really take that kind of knowledge and things that tools that I used in volleyball into basketball. But yeah, I feel nowadays looking back really, really lucky that I had all of those years as an assistant, you know what I mean, to kind of take over. And it also makes me really value the assistants I have. I had the same assistant coaches. Um, I mean, really every year. I had the same 7 assistants at Bozeman when I was coaching basketball and volleyball, and I've had the same assistants here since we kind of took over the program. We're in year 4 now. So, I really value that. You know what I mean? Value keeping people around and finding people you can really work with, and help them grow. You know what I mean? As well, I think is a really powerful thing, and that really helps build the culture of our program.
I love that. So when we were talking at the beginning there, you mentioned that obviously you coached at both the Bozeman schools and
Mhm.
they're a little bit different beasts. So
Yep.
what was it like coaching at Bozeman High, where, like you said, they already had that tradition, it was already built in, and
Mhm.
now you're at Gallatin where you get to write that history?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a new challenge. I really loved my 10 years at Bozeman. I feel like I gained so much from it. I was able to coach so many amazing young women and work with some really great people. And I think it really taught me kind of that level of excellence. Because the 10 years we were at Bozeman and Bozeman was one school, if you weren't bringing home a trophy every year, you didn't feel like it was a very successful season. So I think really kind of focusing in on, teaching girls how to confidently win, and like I said, continuing to rise the bar. I always say this a lot. We're really good in Bozeman because there's a lot of competition. And I don't think a lot of people, everyone's like, oh, you have so many tall girls or you're so athletic. And I'm like, yeah, but they have to continue to get better. Like, no
Right.
spot is guaranteed. Like, there's always going to be a new group of girls or boys coming in, vying for a spot. So competition breeds competition. Nobody can get comfortable and like, say like, oh, I made varsity last year, I'm just going to make varsity again. Like, if you're not getting better, somebody else is going to come take your job. And I think that's why we have continued to excel. I think that's why we've excelled so fast. I mean, really, from opening, I think a lot of people even said to me, oh, finally, Bozeman's going to be broke up. And you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be as good. And, I mean, that kind of whole thing. And I think it just shows, I mean, how fast we've kind of taken off. I would
Yeah.
say, Alton, just how many great athletes we have in this valley. I mean, and especially right now, I mean, girls sports in Bozeman here at Gallatin and Bozeman High, I mean, like we are kind of dominating right now. And I
Yeah.
think that's really amazing. And I think it goes to show too that um I just keep thinking of if we were one school still, how many girls wouldn't even have that opportunity. You know what I mean?
Right.
At Bozeman High, when I was at Bozeman High and we only were one school, I mean, you had 90 to 100 girls trying out every year. And so you're cutting half of them, and so I'm thinking of that, like, that's crazy now.
Yeah.
Uh, to think of how many girls could have ended up being phenomenal players, but maybe weren't outstanding as a freshman and so didn't make it, and so took a different path kind of thing. So, um, yeah, it's been, like I said, I think it's been a really cool thing, but I also feel like it's been a very deliberate thing, Mitch. Like when we decided, like our whole PE department here, it's 7 teachers and we're all coaches.
Hmm.
And we all sat down like before we came here, like, hey, we're gonna move here. This is what we want it to be. So we're all on the same page of like our weight room culture. And so it's not different from sport to sport and coach to coach. That we really built that. And it was a very conscious effort. Um, and we had to write out a couple of the first years of, we didn't have seniors and a little bit of a struggle.
Right.
By about year three, though, the fact, though, that pretty much every program was starting to win and then it's just kind of grown from there, I think shows not only the level of athlete we have here, but I think the level of coaches we have here, to be completely honest with you. Because it's a lot of time and we put in a lot of time and a lot of effort to build these programs to be successful.
No, I love it. And I was definitely one of those people when Bozeman
Mhm.
High split up. I was like, yes,
Yes,
being a West High
finally.
graduate.
Yes. You're a West High graduate?
Yep.
Oh, well, that West is no different. What are you talking about?
Oh, I know. I know.
Now West is as big as Bozeman was when we
Yeah,
split.
it's big.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But
Yeah.
yes.
No, I know. I was one of those and I was like, yes, but then it's like, wait, no, there's two schools that are just as good now. Nope.
Yeah, yeah. I know. And it happened fast. I mean, I to be honest with you, it happened a little bit faster than I was thinking it might. Um, but again, I think that just goes to show like we've just got some really, really good athletes that want to play and kind of continue to push the bar. So yeah, it's I think there's a different level of pressure coaching
Oh
here,
yeah,
to be honest with you. But it's also really exciting because you get kind of those top level kids.
for sure, for sure. So with that, split now, there's obviously the in-town rivalry that was never had in Bozeman before.
Mhm,
How
mhm,
cool has that been to see from the beginning? And
mhm.
just what is it like to have those crosstown games now?
Yeah, it's awesome. It was pretty funny because I think district wide, like our district admin was like from the beginning was like really pushing this whole theme of like one Bozeman, like we're all still together, we're all still gonna get along. And I think anybody that's involved in sports was like, nope, that line's going to be drawn real fast. And I think it
Uh-huh.
was drawn real fast, like after the first year of football, to be honest with you. I feel like the rivalry really kind of sparked from there. And then those first couple years, Gallatin won a couple of those crosstown games, like in basketball and in volleyball, you know what I mean? And so it definitely happened really fast. But I think that's what makes sports great. I think to be able to see the turnout that we always get at any of our crosstown events, and it's a really fun thing, like I said, and we were very in an odd situation because there really wasn't ever, you know what I mean, a rivalry game, when it was just Bozeman.
Yeah.
So I think it's really fun now to see in the community. I mean, it was really, things happen pretty fast. Like you either bleed blue or you bleed red. But it's also hilarious too because I'm like, those are all the same people that we all worked with, you know what I mean, a few years ago, who we still know and are friends with. And so it's been fun though. Like I said, I mean, those environments are amazing for kids to play in. We always get a great turnout and they're really fun. Yeah. But it happened fast, a lot faster than I think people thought it was going to.
I love that. And then, the Bozeman schools always kind of have a little bit of a rivalry with the Billings schools. It's why I made my comment about wanting Bozeman to split
Yep.
up.
Yep.
So how cool is that to have an out of town rivalry,
Mhm.
fairly close with Billings?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, to be honest with you, I feel like, the Eastern Double A is a really, really tough conference, and so I always feel like we're gonna get really good games with everybody we play, and so dating back, I mean, yeah, we battled, definitely battled with senior and volleyball a lot of those years back when I was at Bozeman, and Jeff Carroll was there. Um, Battled with Charlie a lot when Charlie was at West High with basketball. And Brent when he was up at Skyview. I mean, so I think it's fun. Like I love playing like good competitive games. You know what I mean? I think those are so much more enjoyable. I mean, they're a lot more stressful. They haven't helped like my gray hair. But they're also really exciting. Like, I think I can say like, a lot of Billings coaches that I've coached against, I have a lot of respect for, on and off the court. And they've had a lot of great athletes and a lot of great teams. And so I think that's just, it's fun to play against good teams. And I think that, we've consistently had that kind of rivalry matchup, with the Billings schools for a long time.
For sure, for sure. So you mentioned earlier, that a lot of your players have gone on to the collegiate level. So what does it mean for you to have those coaches or have those players, excuse me, go on?
Mhm.
And then what is your role in helping them kind of get to that next level?
Yeah, I think, ultimately, we kind of follow the girls' lead. I mean, I think we're very realistic that not everyone is going to be a collegiate athlete. I do think if they want to be, there's a fit for you somewhere at some level. But I also really value the fact of like what you can actually take away from high school sports, even if you don't go on to play collegiate sports, of just the teamwork, the resiliency, like working with different people. You know what I mean? And I think ultimately our number one goal, regardless, is that you leave our program having a positive experience. You know what I mean? You can look back and say, man, those were great 4 years of, high school volleyball or basketball, and you built relationships. And because the reality, Mitch, is like they're going to remember a few games, but they're going to remember the bus trips.
Yep.
They'll remember like how you treat it. I mean, those kind of relationship pieces. So I think ultimately for us, that's number one. If they are obviously are a collegiate athlete, which we've been really lucky to have quite a few of, our role is to try and make them the best volleyball player we can at this point. Like I said, we I do like a book club every season where we read like a book about like mental toughness, and we're always trying to develop that. Um, we bring in other people, like we have volunteer coaches. They've been really, really lucky. Jordan Raddick, who played for the Cats. She was a middle for the Cats. She is our freshman B coach this year. So, I mean, a very successful college middle is now coaching in our program. So she's able to provide them, you know what I mean, a lot of feedback. Allie Lynch, who played for me at Bozeman High and also played for the Cats as setter, she comes in once a week to work with our setters. So I think surrounding our players with really good coaches that can help them is something we really try to do. And also taking their feedback of like, what are your college coaches saying you need to work on? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Before you get here. And so making sure we're helping them along the way as much as possible. I think is a big thing. Our program lifts every day but game day, so I think we are teaching our girls how to be strong in the weight room, injury prevention, continuing to develop that way. That I think is huge because that's usually can be kind of a big jump for some players if they haven't been doing that.
Hmm.
So that's something we really, really value. And I think just overall trying to kind of help them in any way that we possibly can as whole. You know what I mean? As being a good teammate, the mental side, the physical side, the skill wise, and just trying to prepare them to the best of our abilities. It's a jump regardless. You know
Right.
what I mean? But I think we try to do kind of the best job we can here, to hopefully give them some of the tools that they can kind of rely on once they get there.
I love that. So you mentioned some ex Bobcat players, and don't know if you can see my shirt, but I'm a huge Bobcat
Yeah.
fan myself.
Okay.
And so, how much does it help your program to have a very good volleyball program right in your guys' backyard?
Yeah, it's huge. I think it's a really, really awesome thing. I think we're really lucky because, a lot of the cat players will reach out to work camps for us. So I think we've kind of built that relationship. Jade Schmidt, who coaches our JV team, she was the head coach in Belgrade for 7 years, won a state championship there. Came back in kind of when I came in. And she actually teaches stats up at MSU. So she's around, she's refed. Matt and Jen Hauk, their daughter Jory, played in our program last year. She was with us for 2 years. So I think that's a really strong relationship. Like I said, I think that we've been able to get to know a lot of the players. And like I said, and it's really worked out for us. To have them around and be able to help out and kind of just this different set of eyes for us. And so I think the girls have really responded to that and really like when they're able to come in and run them through some different drills or kind of communicate with them. I think that's been a really, really strong part kind of our program.
That's awesome. So I have a couple of final questions here. So one of my questions is, what is your ideal Raptor volleyball player?
Oh, great question. My ideal Raptor volleyball player, would be number one, would be a hard worker. That's huge to me. You know what I mean? I see it all the time. I see there's a lot of skilled players, but they don't have that kind of work ethic piece, which skills only going to take you so far if you don't have that work ethic piece. So I would say work ethic is number one for me. Number two would be that you're a good teammate, somebody that is able to connect with different people on your team. Three would be they're able to bounce back quickly. Volleyball is a game of mistakes. Like every point ends on someone's mistake, on one side of the net or the other.
Right.
So somebody that's able to mentally recover really quickly. Um, and I think the last thing would be just an all-around good kid. You know, I feel so blessed in all of my years of coaching that I've been able to work with so many phenomenal female athletes that are just really good kids, on and off the court, that, like I said, are good teammates that show up when they need to, have high expectations for themselves in this program. And that I've been able to build relationships with. I think that goes so far. I think that's why I've been successful coaching is because I'm definitely a relationship person. And I think especially, I mean, boys are girls, but I think especially girls, like if girls know that you care about them, you're invested in them, you're showing up when you're asking them to show up. You're checking on them in life. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're supporting them in other things. They're going to buy into the culture that you're building and want to play hard for me and I want to work hard for them, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would say that's definitely what I envision my ideal Raptor volleyball player. And the great part is and I think embracing that each of them is so different. um they're not all the same. I can't coach them all the same. Like they don't all focus the same way. They don't all, prepare the same way. So I think really being able to learn those things and also have them be able to communicate that to their teammates,
Yeah.
I think has really helped us be successful because I really believe each kid's a leader in their own way. It's just a matter of bringing out that leadership and bringing it to the team. So everybody knows their role. And that's very clearly defined. And I think that's been really successful for us and something we've continued to build on each year since we've, taken over the Gallatin program.
I love that. So my final question, I've had my eye on the Ted Lasso style sign behind you there that
Oh
says
yeah.
enjoy the ride. So
Yeah.
what does that mean for your team?
hmm Yeah, we actually made that last year. So, and this is our state championship picture behind us. We had a very strong senior group last year. I mean, Cadence Lundgren ended up going to Kansas State and she's starting right now as a freshman. Taylor Speak went to Central Washington is playing. I mean, we just had a group that had been with us, sophomore year, junior year, and each year we kind of continued to get better. And those two especially were basically like, we're winning. We're winning it all. So get on the train or get off. It was a very like direct kind of thing. So every year we do a preseason, like after tryouts, and teams are made, we do a team bonding. We've went whitewater rafting, we went zip lining, like we do different things. And so we were zip lining and we always talk about like our team covenants of like, what are the things we're going to live by, and a big thing kind of coming out of that was, um, you know, we have a goal of winning, a state championship. And you have to take each, game for what it is, make sure you're showing up for that. But in general, like what's going to make us successful is if we enjoy the ride along the way. We enjoy the process. We really focus on that, on playing together, on continuing to get better every day. Because we can control that.
Right.
We can't control everything else, kind of all the outside stuff. We can't control another team. So really focusing kind of on the process of like making sure that, along this kind of journey we're on, we're enjoying the little things, the practice every day, the getting better every day. Yeah, so that was hung up in our locker room last year, you know what I mean? And definitely a sentimental thing for me. To watch that team have the season we did last year was a really, really awesome thing. I mean, the state championship game was 5 hours of a lot of volleyball. But ended how we, you know what I mean, wanted it to be. And I think it was a really breakout year for our program. I think previous years, I mean, the first year we took over, we made it to state first time, we took fourth, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Built on it, took third the next year. But I really felt like last year was a turning point where, we said we're going to win and we really believed it. I think previous years, like we said we were going to do it, but we didn't really believe it. And last year was the first year from the beginning, like that's how it was going to be. And that's what they did, and I think
Yeah.
that was a really big turning point in our program because I think that's really carried over into this year. I mean, I obviously returned five from last year, so had that kind of experience, but as of right now, our entire program, all five teams in our program have not lost a match yet. So that's a really amazing thing. I mean, something I've never been a part of in my 20 years. Yeah, so I think focusing on the process of just playing together and getting better. And the great part about that is I think the byproduct is winning from
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that's just amazing. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time this morning. And
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was
of
fun.
course, thank you for giving us a little bit of a snapshot into Raptors volleyball. And
Yeah.
wish you continued success and hope you can
Thank
ride that
you.
undefeated season.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye, Mitch.
Bye.